This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Man, it's quite an honor. It really is. Grew up idolizing this guy, and such an ambassador not only to hockey but giving back, and his altruism speaks for itself. And he's here to share a story with us. Welcome, Darryl Sittler. Hi, Darryl.
How are you doing tonight?
Listen, man, I'm talking to Darryl friggin' Sittler. I'm doing amazing.
There you go.
How are you doing, more importantly?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm just on my way down to the Leaf game tonight. We're playing the Bruins. It's the Hall of Fame night, so they'll be introducing the new Hall of Fame members, and I'll be going on the ice to greet them. So I'm sitting in traffic going down to the Scotiabank Center, but it's all good. I had my knee replaced. Having it, and things are good. Life's good.
Good to hear. First off, don't be late, okay? Don't be late for the ceremony, Darryl.
No, I'll make sure I'm there on time for sure.
Hey, before I ask you about the knee, were you in your playing career? Were you ever late for a game?
Never. You never would do that. No, you're always there 2-3 hours early. Getting kind of prepped up and into it, but never late. No.
And what about a practice?
I've never been late for practice either. I'm one of those guys, kind of the old school. It's okay to get there 15 minutes or a half hour early rather than make anybody wait for you. So I figure when people are late, they might think their time's more valuable than the person that they're supposed to meet. So that's kind of my attitude, unless obviously there was a snowstorm or an accident or something unheard of. But I can't remember being late or fined for being late or for curfew. There you go.
You might have just changed my life, Darryl, because sometimes I'm late, but that's just because I'm unorganized. But now that I think about the fact that maybe it's actually insulting the other person who's there, I'm feeling pretty guilty. It's an important message, and it does speak to a lot of etiquette.
Sometimes you learn something every day. Hey? There you go.
Well, in this day and age, no one wants to learn anything. Everyone's afraid to evolve, but we won't go there. Tell me about the knee replacement.
Well, way back when I played junior hockey in London, I had my knee operated on. Back then, they didn't have orthoscopic surgery, so they basically cut you wide open. And I played my whole NHL career, all 15 years, with a brace on my knee. And then as I aged a little bit, I'd get some bone chips and cartilage chips in there, some arthritis, and then I'd have to get it drained and, arthroscopic surgery to take the chips out. So finally got to where it was hampering my my exercising and those sorts of things. I couldn't bend my knees, so we did a full knee replacement, and I'm glad I did it. I'm still in the physio part of it, but I'm a little proactive. I'm 69. I figure, if I wait another number of years, do it when you're healthy and get it behind you and enjoy the knee rather than be in pain while you're living with it.
That's one thing that amazes me about really athletes who play at a level that you played at and did so in the old days. It wasn't only technology and the equipment that wasn't on par with what it's like today, but also technology in terms of recuperation through doctors and surgeries and medical procedures. That's amazing. I wonder how many people even realized you played every single game of your career with a brace on.
No, I guess most people wouldn't. It's not something that even talked about, but it obviously was something I needed to be preventative, and I'm glad I did. And when you talk about changes with this knee replacement, I'm fortunate to be involved with our team and our team orthopedic doctors, and they gave me some advice. There's a machine called Game Ready, and basically it's an ice machine that you put a sleeve on your leg and you put ice in it, and cold water goes through it and compresses. It's on timers, and I took that right with me to the hospital, and I had it on my leg, and it certainly helps the swelling, but it really speeds up the healing time of a surgery such as mine, and to me that's important. And then the other thing, now that I'm taking physiotherapy, there's a product that it's called Theragun, and basically it's a massager, but again it's to stimulate your muscles, to activate them, to get them kind of back and working the way they should be. So, yeah, technology's come a long way. I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to be a part of it. This company that I'm involved with in Toronto, it's called HealFaster Canada. You can go to HealFaster.ca. And I know there's lots of people my age are getting hips replaced, shoulders replaced, knees replaced. And if they can get some advice and make the transition a little smoother, it's better. The other thing the other thing, you hear so much about the opioid crisis and doctors giving patients opioids for pain. And I was fortunate through this surgery that I took some extra strength Tylenol, but this machine that I had on my leg obviously helped reduce the pain in my leg. So I was fortunate with that also.
Well, that makes me very happy to hear, and listeners of our show will know that I'm a real sort of big voice when it comes to encouraging people to stay away from the opioids as well and pain medications, and having known actually some even professional athletes and just individuals themselves who sort of went past the point of just taking it for the pain, but all, 'cause addictions, not addictions to some of the crises that we've heard of. But it is a very, very, very scary outcome a lot of the time, and to the point where we're seeing, the cannabis space thrive, and people, even though you can't make medical claims yet, Darryl, but on the CBD product side of things, we're starting to hear stories, even, in psilocybin now and in magic mushrooms and things, so that can help with a lot of pain and anti-anxiety and depression. Have you looked at all to some of the newer medications out there from these natural plants?
Well, but you're right. I know there's a number of athletes now into the CBDs, and they're finding for arthritis and pain after their career is over. It's helped them with that. I haven't got to that, but I'm a believer in it. There's enough research and science done with it that it does make a difference. You talk about people having seizures and those sorts of things, how it makes a difference, helps people with sleep or anxiety. So I'm a believer in that. But the opioid crisis, there were a number of players, they took it because of an injury, but then they couldn't get off of it, and obviously the effects were devastating for many people. And I'm glad that people are more aware of it. The doctors are more careful about prescribing it and keeping an eye on those sorts of things, so you don't get addicted. But CBD, I think that's the way of the future for sure.
Nice to hear, talk that way. I think does it sort of even surprise yourself, Darryl? From, let's be honest, I'm not calling you old, but you're an older guy, and then this is the back in the day, the cannabis was very legal. It wasn't a thing that was ever talked about. Just to the point where we're at now, even in this country, does it sort of amaze you? Yeah,
I'm kind of still old school. I never tried THC and that sort of thing. But obviously with it legal now and being obviously well more accepted, it's the way of the world, so to speak. Everything changes, and sometimes for the good and sometimes for the not so good. But I'm still old school, and but at the same time recognize that change does happen, and it's important as we grow. So, hey, I'm pleased again. Like I say, that I got through a career. I never lost a tooth. Those sorts of things. I never had really any real serious injuries that hampered me. But as you get a little older and your body breaks down, whether you're an athlete or not, it's nice to know that you have the people who are giving you the information to help you through those things with whatever products they have, so to speak.
Darryl Sittler joins us. We got a few more minutes with you, Darryl, if you don't mind. Of course, legendary Toronto Maple Leaf, NHL record setter, 10 points in one game. You're so active with the Maple Leafs Alumni Association, and the Leafs really do that very well. A lot of the teams do that very well, quite frankly, connecting to the communities and to the youth, and going down to the game tonight against Boston, Hall of Fame game. A lot of people talk about hockey these days, that it's not the same like it was in the days where you played it, where it's a little rougher, a little tougher. Do you comment on the game like that? Do you have your views on it?
Well, I do have my views. Yeah, it has changed a lot. I remember back in the 70s, and if you remember us playing the Flyers, the element of fear and courage were an important ingredient going into the game. You had to have the courage to play, and obviously their game plan was to instill fear in the opponent and intimidate, and so you had to play with those sorts of things. So back then there was more of a game within a game, so to speak. I watched the game now. The guys are really skilled and fast and those sorts of things, but sometimes I get a little annoyed when penalties called. It's just a little tap on the the side of the arm or something, and it's you're in the penalty box, so to speak. But they're trying to make the game faster and more entertaining that way. But it has changed a lot, and then some of those parts of the games are out of it that the fans enjoyed. Those hard Scott Stevens hits at center ice. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, but at the same time, that when you're playing against like a guy like him, the people in the building feel that a hit like that can happen. So, when it does, it's an exciting part of the game in my mind. So.
Yeah, and listen, mine too. I'm a 46-year-old guy. Like I said, grew up idolizing you. I mean, if you ask childhood Todd Shapiro, whenever I have a chance to sit and talk with Darryl Sittler for 20 minutes, I probably would have, wet my pants or something. I would have been so nervous. But, here I am with you, and full disclosure, having a voice 20 years now in media. And, I'm a bit critical, too, of the game. I'm a bit critical, not that I ever played it on any high level at all, but as a fan, from a fan point of view. And one of the things, listen, I love the Maple Leafs. I have a little 4-year-old boy. He'll grow up loving the Maple Leafs. And I don't know if this is wrong of me to feel this way, Darryl, and maybe you can correct me if I am wrong, but I'm a little worried about the big payments that come to these young stars, and they are stars, and they are incredible players. You talk about the Marners, the Nylanders, the Tavareses, the Matthews, of course, and my fear is that does that take away from some of the motivation factor to get to that next level where they're kind of in this great comfort zone, let's be frank, for the rest of their lives on a monetary value? Do you think that takes away drive to go out there and do what it takes to go and get a Stanley Cup?
Well, I don't think you could throw a blanket over all the guys. I mean, I look at a guy like Sidney Crosby or Jonathan Taves and those types of guys. They come to play every night. Now, having said that, are there guys that it might make a difference? There were probably guys back in my era, too, that, weren't as motivated as some of the other guys after they became comfortable in their position in the league. So it can happen with anybody, but I don't begrudge the players for making the money they do. They certainly are. The National Hockey League is a strong league that produces billions of dollars, and the players are the ones that bring the fans and the media and everybody to the game. So when they're making that kind of money, but you obviously want everybody to feel that, hey, when they're out there, they're producing and that they're worthy of what they're being paid, and then by that I mean putting their heart into every shift and every game they play, because that's what you're getting paid to do.
And Darryl, I agree with you there on a business level. I think that anyone, if they can go out and sort of prove what their worth is and then get that worth back in a contract, I mean, good for them, good for their agents, and that's a smart business decision. And I hate to be so Toronto-centric, seeing as we speak to all of Canada here on SiriusXM. But, as much as you love the Leafs and as much as you're there supporting the Leafs, and you're so wonderful at it, and we love the commitment, giving back so much to the community. People are still always in awe of meeting you and seeing you and shaking your hand. Do you wish this team was a little tougher?
Well, I think the reality coming into the playoffs, and you got to win 4 out of 7 series, you have to have that element of grit and to get you through it. And I think our management knows that, and they would like to see a little more grit. I mean, I look at guys, as much as I don't like him in Boston, Marchand, I mean, we'd all love to have him on our team because of just how he plays with that intensity and grit all the time, So we lost a little bit, I think, of that with Kadri. He had that. I'd certainly, like you and probably some other Leaf fans, like to see a little bit more of that, because, that's what it takes when it comes right down to win the Stanley Cup. You need that type of grind and attitude every game, game in and game out, if you're going to advance.
And I agree with you, obviously. I mean, you're Darryl Sittler, so whatever you say about hockey, I'm going to agree with.
Yeah, I'm not perfect, but I like guys that, you don't have to be a fighter and that sort of thing. You just have to go in there and grind for the puck, and you get hit, knocked down, you get up, or you knock the other guy down first, and those sorts of things, to me, I like in a team. I'm sure the Leaf management does too.
Well, I hope it does sort of end up being that way, or there's a guy they can find in a small trade. And I only say that because, I worry as a fan, you start to really, you obviously love these players out there. And, you see Kerfoot get hurt the other day and kind of no one come to his defense. You see Matthews had a big run at him the other day and everyone just kind of turned their heads. And it also, I think, leads, and maybe you would know about this a lot better. You would know about this a lot better, but it could lead to injury because other teams are coming. They're going, "Hey, listen, no one's sticking up for the guys. We're going to take some runs at them."
Well, the other team's out there to win the game, and they do what they have to win it. If they feel it's to their advantage to play that way against the Leafs with the opportunity of possibly beating us, they're going to play that way, and we have to play the same way back if we think we're going to, beat these other teams. That's makes the game what it is, and that's what makes champions who they are with that type of grit and determination.
Well, listen, let's hope the Leafs are listening right now and bring it to Marchand, the Bruins later. You'll be at the game. Darryl, I am so honored and very grateful to be able to have this 20-minute chat with you. I'm also very happy that this healing process of your knee replacement's going well. Please give a big shout-out again to the company you're involved with that's really helped make this a smoother transition for you.
Yeah, HealFaster.ca. Just go on their website. You'll see all their products, and they explain them pretty well and how you get them. So, anybody has got an issue. I've always believed in being proactive, not waiting till after the fact. But if there's an opportunity there and somebody can help you and it's going to benefit you, why not look into it and try it? So.
Couldn't agree more, man. You might as well take the most of this life we have, right? And be as youthful as we can for as long as we can. HealFaster.ca. Darryl, thank you so much. Enjoy the game tonight, and I really hope to bump into you down the road down at the Scotiabank Arena or have you back on air one day.
If you're down there, you'll probably recognize me before I recognize you, so make sure you say hello. Eh?
Thanks a lot, Darryl.
Okay, buddy.
I'm sharpening my elbows for that statement. Okay, thanks, bud.
Okay.
Cheers, Darryl Sittler, everyone. Well, it wasn't that a special moment. Nice to know that Darryl has. Darryl's one of the best, dude. He had 10 points in an NHL hockey game, and I'm sitting there shooting the S with him, and he's kind of, I think he's thinking the way a lot of us are thinking right now, where we want this. I know it's Toronto-centric, folks. If you're listening everywhere, I'm sorry. It's the Maple Leafs and it's Darryl Sittler. And if I had, if I had Wayne Gretzky on, I'm sure we'd be talking about the Oilers and the Kings mostly. So it was pretty special. And I think hockey fans in general, if you're playing on a team that's not as rough and tough as you think they should be, and we're not talking about goonery, we're just talking about it's a pretty tough game out there, and other teams are going to come in hard. And if you don't prepare to defend yourself and stick up for your guys and come in there maybe and even set the tone a bit, I don't think you're going far in the playoffs and far in the season. That's what we're seeing with our Leafs back here.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.